Or sorry, they would hit the final stage,
Yeah.
but in years past as well, didn't do so hot at Worlds. So you never really know what version you're going to get.
It's a little bit up and down. What isn't up and down is the ability to ban Skarner away from Tarzan. That's happened every single time. Going to be the first ban here on blue side as we hop into the draft once again. And man, I don't know. I think one of the things that has to be taken into account as well is the fact that blue side has won both of these games, so maybe that can help out DK as far as getting a little bit more confidence moving into this final game. Just have to see. Already the Orianna and the LeBlanc taken away. We heard, you know, the LeBlanc has been so incredibly important for Showmaker. And the Vi is still something that needs to be banned away, I would expect. I imagine that that's likely to happen here. But we'll see where Weibo are going to go, because it might mean that one of the Yone or the Aurora are going to get through unless it's an agreed-upon trade of bans.
Yeah, and I mean, that could easily be the direction that we go. You end up taking the Yone for Showmaker. You still end up getting the Aurora on the opposite side. And it worked out well for Weibo in the last game. The Yone wasn't that impactful, but at least was still able to contribute to those fights well. And the Aurora didn't really get to do much because the team fell so far behind. So I think it'd be interesting to see how DK prioritize these picks if they are left open.
Well, this last ban is going to tell us a lot about how this one's going to go. It's a Renekton, so feels like a throwaway ban here. A little bit understandable. It does mean that they get one of these very high priority picks. Will it be the Yone? Will it be the Aurora? Or will it be another pick that is just sort of more of a pocket pick, potentially, like a Vi to be banned away from Lucid, perhaps? We'll see. Then the prioritization of the first pick is really what I'm going to be curious about, because we know this team is not necessarily one to play a lot of Yone. Kingen has been one to play it so far this season, and there is the Ziggs ban away from aiming, one of his favorites earlier on. Not so much now, and not something that we've really enjoyed that much as well. So let's see, is it going to be Yone? Is it going to be Aurora? Is it going to be Vi? Like, are they going to put that level of priority on getting this pick for Lucid? And the answer is no, because Yone's up. So they're going to lock it in.
It makes sense, but I was kind of wondering what the answer was going to be, because I think there is an argument with the Yone not really doing too much, and I think Showmaker had a reasonably decent time into the Aurora, or as the Aurora into it. You just go towards that, but taking the Ezreal away, I thought you would immediately see the Vi Aurora and just go for this kind of all-in composition, but yeah, taking Light onto some comfort and getting it out of the hands of aiming, making sure that what is inevitably going to be a dive composition to enable the Yone doesn't really have a target on the AD carry perspective.
And it also means that the only champion that can get out of between worlds is now on their team. So that works out very, very well. Does mean that the denial of the Vi, like you were talking about, is going to be impossible. And will it just be a Rumble or something like that to be locked in here for Kingen? Do they keep the Yone a little bit more ambiguous is the other question. The Kai'Sa could just be locked in here because we know that that matchup into the Ezreal is something that they do like. But Gragas, just a Gragas could be happening. That'd be weird. Showmaker going to be hovering a few things though, and I got a little bit baited.
I would like the Rumble here. I think it makes a lot of sense. You set up well with the Yone ultimate, and chances are you're going to get it banned away on this next rotation. I was thinking you take Rumble, you see that Kai'Sa more than likely going to be banned, and then you're in a position where, okay, well, at least we got a very strong top half of the map we can play through, and our AD carry will be fine as this game goes on, but not going to see that. Instead, DK trying to prioritize something for Moham to make sure he is comfortable after what was not a great game on the Nautilus.
Yeah, and of course, this is his most comfortable champion in the Rel. Speaking of comfort, Breathe on the Nile looked absolutely fantastic there in game number 2, so they're going to be locking that one away for him once again, confirming that Aurora is heading towards the mid lane. I think support's likely to be hitting the ban list here on the side of DK, but there are a couple of big picks that can be banned away by Weibo.
So I think the reason DK haven't really shown their hand properly here by taking the Rumble or anything like that is they're trying to keep this flexibility for Kingen open. And I think into the Gnar, you could potentially move the Yone up there. We already saw Kingen play and have a win on this Yone in the top side. So now it could easily be a case of, well, you start to ban away or you put pressure on towards the mid lane, with Showmaker being able to get a potential counter pick depending on what wants to happen. But I imagine you will just take an answer for Crisp here on this next rotation, depending on what the bans are. Like Leona probably going to be gone, probably going to get the Alistar taken away from Crisp as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that it's still likely that Weibo take away something like a Rumble, because we expected that that could have been the thing that comes in. But Poppy going to be removed. I wonder if that is giving away any of the intentions here of D+.
So, yeah, I'm not sure, because The Poppy is decent into the Rel, so I think you're actually in a fine matchup there in the bottom side, and there's a lot of dives, so I think it could be something that Crisp does flex into, but it's not a bad shout in this position, but I imagine you'll still get the Leona ban on this next rotation as well, and then Crisp is fine to play the defensive side of the matchup on an Alistair, especially as we saw in the last game. He actually played quite well on it, but there is that Rumble ban that we're talking about already for Weibo.
I think it's almost guaranteed that we're going to see an Ahri locked in. For Showmaker, I agree with you. I think that flexing the Yone towards the top side, Kingen has a lot of experience playing against Zeus as the Gnar into this matchup, and he knows that it's not great. It's not a whole lot of fun, even if they were able to topple them in the final in 2022. That is not all of history, as there is the Leona taken away. So the Alistair still up and available, something that Crisp can head back to once again for once more the Ezreal and Alistair lane. Then DK will have to show their hand as far as the rest of the picks. Aiming still thinking about what he is going to play. Is Kai'Sa being taken away, I think, is a very big deal. But still a lot of things left up on the table. And Morgana.
So
I always get shivers. I see a Morgana locked in by an LPL team. Just brings me all the way back to 2015 every time.
I think this is a sick counter, though. This has been an answer that started to creep up into the Vi. The Black Shield to deny the Vi. You have a great clear. You've got that long-range engage as well, which works out perfectly. So makes a ton of sense here, and it's definitely something that will enable Xiaohu in these fights to not just get completely womboed out of existence by DK, but the wombo wants to continue here, it looks like, with the Misfortune, giving good push on that bottom side, at least giving Lucid an opportunity to play around that bottom lane, especially as he does hit that level 6.
Yeah, Misfortune going to be the lock-in. This is where we're going to get that information as to what is going to be played elsewhere on the map. Where is that Yone going? Is it going to be in the hands of Showmaker, or will it be Kingen that's playing it? Kennen, a consideration right now. Doesn't really fit what I was expecting for the lane allocation here. Maybe Kingen not that confident in the Yone matchup. But the Gragas is where he wants to go. A giggle comes through from Lucid. This guy's Gragas is absolutely fantastic. We've seen Zeus already be so good on this pick.
And I think what they're thinking here for DK is, hey, if I can get a cask onto a Black Shield in the later portion of the game, I immediately remove the Black Shield and suddenly enable Lucid to be that wombo setup once more. So I think you've got a lot of kind of layers upon layers of magic damage that will become very interesting to track as these fights go on. But more appeal on the opposite side for Weibo. Chris is going to go back towards the Braum. It does mean you're kind of reliant on this Aurora or even a good Dark Binding to start off these fights, but Weibo, we'll have to see how they try and play this one out, because it's a very interesting composition on both sides.
Yeah, exactly right. That does confirm that Tarzan will be playing the Morgana in the jungle. It is where she's most often been seen, but there was a little bit of a chance that it could have been heading towards the bottom side of the map in support role as well. Does mean that Crisp on a melee champion feels very, very good for him as well. We'll be able to mitigate this bullet time quite effectively at the same time. Also one of the greatest answers into the cask as well, especially with the change in the interaction, with the fact that it just kind of pops instead of the Braum being knocked around. Just feels absolutely terrible to play the Gragas into it. So a lot of mitigation, a lot of opportunities, but I think that this draft from DK has a lot more upward momentum and movement and opportunity in this game than what we saw in game number 2, even if there is some kerfuffles early on.
I think it's a composition that just has fighting power throughout the game, which is kind of something that has been missing from DK, not only in parts of this series, but definitely earlier on as well in the tournament. So I'm excited to see DK almost feed into what is, I thought, going to be their game plan of fight early, fight often, find these early leads, and then run away with the game through that. And especially when you've got a wombo setup like this, it feels so easy if you can get that lead to capitalize on it further.
Man, Tarzan on a power farmer as well, once again, this time in the Morgana. Something that we haven't necessarily seen as much of, but she's been sprinkled throughout this year in a lot of these metas. All comes down to this. Kingen on full comfort. Lucid on his most comfortable champion that we've ever seen. He is a Vi player, as we've mentioned many, many times before. Aiming on the Misfortune has had great games on it so far this season as well. And Moham, his rel is exactly it. As far as the rookies, as far as the young players on DK are concerned, rel and Vi are exactly what they wanted. It's just whether the answers from Weibo are going to be good enough that we're going to be looking out for. And just a fun fact, it's the first Morgana that we've seen in the jungle here at Worlds ever.
Wow.
The last international appearance was, of course, MSI 2021. We all remember that because that was every game.
Yeah, did reasonably all right, but Weibo getting at least into the bot side jungle here. I don't really think they're going to do too much more. I think it's just trying to figure out exactly if there's any sort of swaps or anything weird going on, but it looks like it's just going to be standard lanes for the moment, and I think you're happy for that as both fans and both teams, as a lot of these matchups are fairly dependent on just being able to get that 2v2 or 1v1.
It's pretty interesting. I would have expected that Aiming and Moham would have been happy to go into a 2v2 against Ezreal and I guess it's Ezreal Braum.
Yeah.
It's not quite Ezreal and the Alistair that we saw last time, so going into a lane swap does make a little bit more sense as my brain catches up. Moham now parking himself in the mid lane, doing that standard thing, trying to get towards level 2 on the support, sharing the mid wave experience.
Okay.
Aiming and King in now towards the top lane, going to be able to crash this wave through.
So I thought you'd actually try and just keep the lanes as is, because even though Moham can't get the crash down into a lot of this matchup, you can still get a lot of bully power coming through from Amy with the double up and these kind of things, and even the poke you get from Kingen is relatively fine against the Gnar, but already going for the swap, and it'll be a case of tracking Moham, as he has a little bit off of the level 2, not even halfway there, to try and move down towards his bottom side, but get into position before Tarzan can really move in towards the bottom half. Means that he won't get stuck away from his turret and actually be in a potential falling down.
Now DK going to be farming between turrets here, as Kingen using his belly bop to keep these minions together. Him and Aiming should be able to get through this pretty comfortably, as it's only Moham underneath this turret now. Going to be Kingen teleporting down, we expect. As I don't know whether this dive combo of these three is going to work out, but if a Dark Binding is going to sail through, could hold them in position enough here, as now we've got a Vault Breaker being charged. Xiaohu goes into stealth, but he's still going to get hit. Able to hold on to that is pretty nice. As meanwhile on this bottom side, that body slam was fantastic, but still gets caught up. Kingen going to keep himself alive though, as now he flashes, but First Blood still comes through as the auto attack was in the air from Light. Plates going down, and another kill is also going to sail through as Breathe collects that one. Xiaohu's okay in the mid lane as well. It's a disaster for DK.
That's such a massive swing in gold for Weibo, and the kills going on towards people like Breathe, who needed it because he missed out on that entire wave in that top side. And also Light off to a great start once more. We'll have to see if it's going to be a game 2 position for Light, or whether it's game 1 where he just couldn't capitalize on it fully.
Well, Lucid is now in the enemy jungle, spotted out there by Xiaohu, actually going to be taxied through, and now he's once again in an unfortunate position. He's been around these wolves before, and it hasn't quite worked, as Showmaker does manage to get the crash through, and with the Vault Breaker, he should be able to create enough distance. Nice little knock up here, as Showmaker is going to avoid taking turret damage as well as he crashes this wave in, and Lucid lucky to be alive.
Yeah, but kind of happy to be on this top side, because there's still a lot of camps for him. He's going to be able to steal away these Krugs on the top end, and even if he wants to move back over to pick up the Scuttle Crab in River 2, Tarzan moving back down to this bottom side as well, means that he should be totally safe if he wants to try and get that play. Tarzan considering a red buff for himself as well.
Yeah, we'll see whether it's going to be Lucid looking for a potential gank on the top side as well after he grabs that that crab, but is that going to be enough to try and mitigate the early advantage already picked up here by Weibo with the first couple of kills underneath that bottom turret? Showmaker now to clear out this ward as Tarzan moving through. We'll be able to head towards bottom lane now. Aiming, moving his way back over. You can see Moham on the rel will also be able to join him on vision here as well for Weibo, as Tarzan slinks back into the enemy jungle once more.
This is a little bit dangerous for Weibo though, because the reset has already come through for Aiming. Big wave that he has to catch though, so can't move across immediately. Vi trying to make her way back out, so I think Weibo should be able to steal this away. Ezreal back in on vision may mean that DK go for the all-in afterwards, because he like cancels his reset to make sure Weibo can get out.
Showmaker doesn't have his ultimate available. I think maybe could have looked for something if he did. Moham in the area as well, as now Lucid back to collect his Raptors. Otherwise, not too much going to occur.
Yeah, Light going to be very late on his reset though, which is kind of spelling nice things for Moham and Aiming, as they should be able to crash this wave and let him lose a little bit. You can even see Light realize it himself. Now has to stay in lane. So if I was DK, I'd try and transition this to a potential dragon just off the back of, hey, we have a reset and are in a better spot, but looks like they focus more on the Void Grubs, as you can see Lucid moving back up towards his top side.
Yeah, and Tarzan is moving back down, just trying to babysit, making sure that Light can push this wave out. Crisp still hovering. Might be able to find himself a Winter's Bite here as the Make It Rain does come down. Moham, a potential target here now.
Crisp is essentially bluffing that Tarzan's behind him. That's why you're seeing so much respect given to Moham, because you have the item advantage and the level advantage, at least for the beginning of that, on Aiming, but unsure as to where the Weibo Gaming jungler was, they will just back off, and that gives at least some push on the bottom lane, but will only be the junglers on this top half that may run into each other.
Yeah, and the grubs have just spawned as well. It's going to be an important thing to track as Chris looking to go home, or at least channeling the back for the moment. Tarzan looking to clear out this control ward. Lucid in the area as well. Doesn't have his level 6. Only halfway towards it as well, as we can see. They have the vision of the crab. Breathe is moving down. You got the Gragas also in a flank angle.
Has the ultimate available as well. Breathe didn't hit level 6 because he lost so much of that experience. The tower, and may come back to bite him.
Yeah. There's the Vault Breaker going to connect onto the Gnar as now Kingen looking to try and move him out of position. Not quite in range to land that cask. And remember, the Black Shield is always going to be there. That is going to be grub number 2 being picked up here by DK. Lucid collecting the experience as well, which is a very big deal. Tarzan going to be able to grab that second one, so a grub advantage here for Weibo, but it's not a wash. That's what we've been seeing in a lot of these games, is 6 on one side, 6 on the other for games 1 and 2. This time a little bit more split, as there's a knock-up onto Xiaohu from Showmaker, but he still takes a lot of damage back here. And Xiaohu on this Aurora is doing a lot of work with this harass.
Yeah, I think DK have just been doing a good job of pushing some of the advantages they had. Look, they only get one group there, but it is, you know, they get the reset quicker for aiming on bot side, so he can get the push, denying Chris being able to roam up towards top. Breathe being behind on the level advantage means that they have a little bit more threat towards that top half. Weibo, though, calling the bluff as soon as Chris does get that quicker reset is a nice job from them as well. So a lot of this is coming down to the map state and where people are, particularly the supports and the top laners. But
Between Worlds is going to come through. Showmaker going to have to flash. Does get himself out of the way of that, but that is a big cooldown that Xiaohu was able to pick up basically just for free. I know you have to invest the ulti, but flash is a very important cooldown. And True Shot Barrage not quite going to connect, so Showmaker going to be able to make his way back. No teleport. Does want to stop this as Lucid. He's moving over, Vault Breaker in hand. Can he find it? There it is. The cease and desist comes down. The ulti comes through, collects both of them. Great sidestep there, but still going to die. His soul was unable to return to his body, and Lucid, can he actually get a shot? Gives him the thumbs up. It still tanks the turret shot. A 2-for-1 trade in favor of Weibo, though, in the end.
Weibo just barely able to get in to keep Xiaohu alive. Chris being able to get in, and that heal keeps Xiaohu topped up just long enough, but Weibo now get the kills and will get the dragon off the back of this.
Yep, the first rate going to go over to Weibo Gaming here, and I really like the pizzazz from Xiaohu. Would have looked far cooler if he hadn't have just been hit by the turret and taken down. But let's have a look at this replay.
Yeah, and I think this is a great call from Lucid. Showmaker wants the reset, but the wave is not in a position where it's favorable, so bring in Lucid, gets the ultimate off despite the invisibility, but the jump in from Crisp gets in front of it just barely and has that heal to keep his mid laner alive. The Black Shield as well means he's able to escape, and this is nice from Lucid, but the Black Shield lasts just long enough to deny the knock-up from the Q, but it still is a Xiaohu just barely walks into turret range.
And you can see DK coaching stuff not exactly psyched about it, as Xiaohu as well is like, maybe I shouldn't have given the thumbs up. Now I feel a little bit silly, but still, it's a great trade for Weibo and a lot of stress for DK. 1,000 gold the advantage, a little bit more on top of it here for Weibo in this early game. Haven't really paid too much attention here towards his top side, as Lucid is going to be his next avenue of attack, as Mini Gnar now back up. Certainly a point of attack potential. It is going to be Lucid just moving away, and Breathe doing the same thing. Crisp, can he find an avenue here? Good sidestep there from aiming. No Winter's Bite's going to be connecting down here. And otherwise, it is just going to be a little bit of picking up as much farm as we can. Not too much fighting for the next little while. Xiaohu certainly doing pretty well on this Aurora, at least in the lane, despite the fact that Showmaker is very far ahead in farm. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think it's just with how much there's been happening around this mid lane, but I think it'd be heartbreaking for Showmaker if he can't get the best of Xiaohu in this series, because even you look back at like MSI 2021 finals, lost to RNG, lost to Xiaohu, and I think Showmaker has been pretty open about how he wants to try and get back into Worlds and really showcase what he's capable of, but now sitting behind Xiaohu once again after losing that 2v1 in the mid lane, or 3v2 even I should say, it's got to be at least bringing back some memories of that.
I would agree. I think as well, one item spikes, you mentioned it for game number 2. That's happening once again here. Is that Blade of the Ruin King going to be very important here for Showmaker? I think Kingen getting towards an item or two as well, where this cast can really be dangerous coming through. And Kingen, we know him as a clutch team fighter. He's a guy that's just able to do it when no one expects it. Well, this is when we're really not expecting it. It hasn't been a great Worlds here for Kingen, as that is a great Dark Binding, though, for Tarzan, as Moham has to crash his way down. Good flash to get him out to safety, but still, no flash now available for this next fight. As good heads up there from Moham, able to avoid the True Shot Barrage that wasn't going to land, but I still respect it. Keeps his head in the game. He's now still looking for a reset. And now the Void Grubs should go over to Weibo here. Not enough people on the map as Lucid now moving over. Doesn't want to give this one up without a fight, as now Moham gets tagged by a Mystic Shot and almost just straight up dies. That is going to be the first two. There is 4 or 5 grubs picked up, as Chris doesn't find too much with the ultimate. The bullet time also not really collecting too much here as well. The door is now on cooldown as Breathe is going to get punched a few times. Black Shield is now on the Gnar, but now it's going to wear off. DK just not quite able to find a foothold in this fight, and Weibo just grabbed the grubs and leave.
They were trying to bait out that Black Shield from Tarzan, but Weibo never really overextending too much as Showmaker gets a little bit of a tap back. But until that Black Shield was gone, Lucid couldn't pull that ultimate trigger, and you could see in their eyes, we have the ultimate advantage. Our wombo combo's still there, but without that Black Shield going down, there's just no way for them to start off that fight.
Yep. And the issue was that there was no other target presented. It was just Breathe with that Black Shield that was there. So Lucid couldn't just say, oh, well, I'll just hit the other guy, because the other guy didn't exist. Okay, Weibo being able to perform the highway robbery very, very nicely. And 2,000 gold is the lead, and it is slowly but surely extending here. DK, they're going to have to make a proactive play to get themselves a lead. They want to make their way towards Paris, keep themselves in the tournament for another round. You have to remember, you lose this game, you're going home. That is it for both of these teams. This is where you have to find it in yourself to pick up the win. So Showmaker now underneath his outer turret. Not feeling great because there are 3 bad guys there. Now Lucid looking to make his way in. Certainly some targets, but the Black Shield standing around Moham looking for an angle. They just grab some plates. They will move on.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get too much until the Dragon in a couple of seconds. Still, looks like DK are saying we don't really have position to fight for this. We're going to try and make a cross-map play. I thought it would be towards Breathe, but Weibo again defending well here, denying that red buff take even. It feels like DK kind of scratching their heads as to how they want to open up on the map, and they just can't really get any wiggle room here.
I think picking up this Drake could be a good thing, as the Rift Herald going to be coming up now in 8 seconds time, and so maybe it's just a fight towards this top side that both teams are looking for, trying to break open this map, give themselves some room to play. And you can imagine if you've got the Gragas that wants to find these deep flanks and get these casks in, it'll be something that they're looking for. And as you can see, Lucid and Moham already starting off on this Rift Herald, down to 50% health. Vision was given over to Weibo, but it goes dark once again. And now Kingen on this flank. Can he actually find it? Doesn't actually throw out the flash or the cask or anything just yet, but still gets hit by the Dark Binding. So much damage, he flashes, but it's not enough. And that is the kill picked up here from Xiaohu. Disaster strikes for DK as they're looking to try and stay on top of this Rift Herald. Between Worlds comes through. Showmaker cannot get over the wall. And the Herald is even taken here. It is absolute disaster stations for DK. That's a cheeky one picked up for aiming, but that is a consolation prize at best.
It is the silverest of linings for DK, and what is a dark, dark day. Weibo, I managed to outplay him across the map. The Dark Bindings hitting from Tarzan, and even on the top half, Lucid and Kingen considered going on towards Breathe, who's getting mini-nar, but they don't pull the trigger fast enough. You'll see it as we get into the replay here. So you go where this is a 3v4, but the eyes of Lucid move up top towards Kingen, which then isolates the Gragas here, who ends up falling. On the top of the map, Rift Herald is still started, so Weibo are just chasing down members of DK, and as they finally decide to turn on towards Breathe, the Black Shield comes in just in time for a Showmaker to not get that CC for Breathe. And it has to be Aiming who finishes things off, as Breathe will just pick up the Rift Herald on the way out.
Yeah, he collects that one. Aiming is going to be able to at least get 1 kill back, but this is a disaster, and Weibo, yeah, pretty happy with how this one is going. There goes the outer turret as well. In the mid lane, Showmaker looking to try and trade for the bottom outer as well, but trading up here for Weibo, absolutely. And as we have a look at our MasterCard lane economy snapshot, it is looking pretty good for our World's runners-up in 2023. Weibo just looking for a repeat of history, at least until the very end, where they would prefer a change in history. But so far, so good as far as getting back there in this game. 5,000 gold. This is looking a lot more like game number 2 than it did like game number 1.
Yeah, I still think, though, there are tools for DK to bring it back into this game. Like, you still have that insane combo that can work out once the Black Shield isn't there, or even if you catch multiple members, a Black Shield can only save one, right? So I don't think this is as clear-cut for Weibo, where it felt like DK had to dive into them at all points in time. I still think you have a lot to work with. It's just that the windows of opportunity are closing. Like, you see, even if it's not a Black Shield, there's 2 Seeker's Arm Guards that are coming through for the AP members and may need to be burnt here.
Yeah, there's a knock-up from Showmaker, very nicely done. That's the Black Shield out from Tarzan. Now Lucid on vision here. There's Xiaohu, cuts him down to about 50%. This Aurora is very scary. Xiaohu on control mages seems to feel a whole lot better. They were able to win the last game as now Between Worlds comes through once more. That is going to be the Magnus Storm. Bullet time! And they just cut down where they're standing! DK, can they find more off the back end of this one, though, as Lucid still has the ulti available. Tarzan still with that Black Shield there, and DK not going to push for more. They pick up 2 kills, and this might give them an avenue back in.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. You overextend, and there's still windows for DK to come back. Plus, Kingen was pushing in that top side the whole time. He gets the top lane turret too. That's a nice goal back in towards DK's favor. Snipe onto Moham really won't mean too much. There's no objectives up, but DK, they deny that access to bot lane turret. Weibo going to try again here. It is a 2v2 because Moham did stick around.
As they say, if at first you don't succeed, just try again. And we'll see whether they're able to take this one down. Under 50% on this one, but they are running out of minions. And with an AP Gragas, he does pretty well at clearing out minion waves relatively safely with those barrels. Lucid looking for an opportunity towards Light. Of course, pretty slippery on this. Ezreal does clear out this vision as they move toward through the enemy jungle. Breathe will finally get that free time that he was looking for. Utilize those 5 grubs and take down the outer turret on that bottom side of the map. So 4 turrets picked up here for Weibo. Feels real good. But let's have a look at this fight one more time. This Between Worlds looked devastating, but the Magnus Storm from Moham paired with aiming.
But look at where Breathe is, right? He has to try and walk all the way through the tower. He's not really in a position to follow up on this. So while it looks fantastic, it's just a 3v4 that Weibo are taking, hoping they can come out on top. And especially with the King and TP coming through as well, you can see the frustration on the face there. And the smiles on the DK side. They know they got away with that one.
I wouldn't be celebrating just yet, Zephyr, but let's see whether it is something that DK can leverage moving further on in this game. They have the Yone. Yone's been pretty good at winning, but Showmaker is not one that has utilized it to its fullest so far here in 2024. Can he channel some of his previous years where his melee play was just so incredibly good? He's pretty good at playing Yone's brother, of course, as Yasuo has been legendary for quite some time. As Crisp making his way in on vision here, knows about it, as this control ward will finally be addressed.
I do think, though, even if the fights are kind of a little bit back and forth, DK have been playing at the map better. Weibo kind of stalled out where they're not really sure how they want to try and approach. They overforce on boss. Kingen is constantly playing and pressuring on sides. And at this stage, with Showmaker being a fairly sizable threat when it comes towards just how much damage you can do in a side lane, you need to be in a better position to respond. But Weibo just haven't really wanted to play around sides, and this is something that we started to notice a lot when they brought out the Oriannas and moved away from the AD carries, was just not sure how to facilitate a control mage like this Aurora on a side. Now Aurora has escapes, but Xiaohu just hasn't really been going to a side lane by himself.
Yeah, and I think this is a lot going to come down to Dragons. Next one's going to be up in 15 seconds time. It is once again an Infernal Soul in this game. It's going to provide so much extra damage for either team. The mobility of the Cinders as well is, I think, underrated. Do very much like that. But it looks like Weibo have full positional advantage around this Dragon Pit, as Kingen hanging out towards this top lane. Xiaohu going to catch that wave, but there is no vision here. It looks like Tarzan should be able to just secure this for Weibo. The first Dragon of the Infernal variety secured here by Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, you can see DK trying to get vision on this top side in return for that Baron area. As Light takes a couple pop shots. There's moments where you can still find picks here as DK, But I think if you do end up just letting Weibo slowly but surely take these objectives, they're just going to be in a great spot. Their team fight is exceptional. The ability for DK to start fights is really tough unless Weibo overextend like that again. So that's where DK, I can understand trying to trade the Dragon for vision, but now I need to see them play heavily around this mid lane, force light off of the wave, and then look for some sort of pick inside, or even try and force on this mid wave. Even if Lucid dies for the engage, just getting that pick onto a potential turret take opens up the map so much for DK.
Yep, not to mention the fact that Baron is now up and available, has been for about a minute and a half. 2 items now completed for both the Ezreal and the Misfortune. We talk about the Ezreal variety of this all the time. Doesn't quite have the transformation just yet, but very, very close. And in fact, as I say it, does get that mere amount of transformation. So Light is at full power. He is only going to get more scary now, but this is the first step. Infinity Edge completed for aiming is certainly good news, but still wanting to get a little bit more. We'll see whether he can have once again one of these big bullet times like we saw towards that bottom lane, whether DK can just get themselves together. That's honestly what I want to see, is just pull themselves up, as now Kingen, yeah, he could be in trouble. Crisp making his way around, gets the extra movement speed. That is a very cute cask. Still going to be able to push Crisp away.
I'm shocked he got away with that. Winter's bike going wide was a bit of a whoopsie there, but able to walk on out, and now you kind of diminish that entire play. So look at the bot side instead. DK get to take control here. They're going to set up for Showmaker to be a threat on the side, and this is where if Weibo can get those plays to work, it's great, but these little mistakes do give DK windows to try and fight back. I think still no pressure on mid-wave for DK is a bit of a mistake, because Aiming can contest the wave. It's just that he doesn't have the help from Lucid right now to really force on mid-wave to open up a play on these sides.
Well, Breathe going to be able to clear out this wave towards the bottom side of the map. And it is back to pretty defensive play, but slowly but surely it's a closing of the gap instead of an extension here. So DK pulling themselves back in. That is so far working out. 2.6k going to be the advantage. And I think the Baron Pit is going to be where we're going to see the next big fight. Kingen getting closer and closer to 2 items. I believe Cosmic Drive going to be coming in next. Does have the Seraphs for the shield as well. Some added durability for this Gragas. Feels pretty good. DK, can you actually approach? That is the question. This battle for vision is just ongoing between these 2 squads. And if Tarzan is in Fog of War, it's so scary. You can see there, has to use the Vault Breaker to get out of the way of the Black Shield, the Dark Binding.
Showmaker has just hit his 2nd item though, which is pretty nice for an upcoming fight. I'd say the Dragon in 2 minutes time or a Baron pick is Crisp.
That's a little bit of a dangerous position that he finds himself in. Shows them the door. They'll accept it. Black Shield also going to be invested there. Crisp makes his way out. Does buy a little bit of space here for DK to clear out vision inside their own jungle. Some mobile champions as well. That body slam on the Gragas.
Breathe back in bot side though. Again, just putting this pressure on towards DK, but DK want to fight as a result.
Yeah, the battle for the crab. You love to see it. Dark Binding going to go wide once again, and they're not going to win that battle, as Breathe is going to win his battle with this inner turret that is completely unprotected. Kingen going to turn up just a little bit too late. That is a lot of money going over to this Gnar. Randuin's already completed here for Breathe as well. He is very, very scary.
Also very close to Mega Gnar, which is why Weibo started to posture in front of Baron. There is TP wards for Breathe to try and come in and be a bit of a nuisance, but has now ticked over, so Weibo I think just going to back away from this one. Yeah. Minutes until that next Dragon. That is definitely going to be the focus here for Weibo.
It should be. DK now with that opportunity, spotting the reset. It did just come through. So much posturing. Kind of want game 1 back. You know, where we were just, it was just fighting and fighting and fighting. It was fun. It was a bit stressful, but it was fun. This is feeling like so much more of the mind games between the 2 squads, the battle for vision, wanting to get a perfect fight, you know.
There's so much pressure on them right now, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one bad fight, and that is your year done. You don't get another attempt, so kind of understand when you're in that position. And again, when there's so much to prove for so many of the players on both sides, you don't want to be that one that makes a mistake, but you could also be the one that makes the game-changing play, and I think that's what both Showmaker has the opportunity to do so, but also even Tarzan or Xiaohu, the lockdown that they have could be it for either squad.
Absolutely. Now Weibo moving towards that bottom side river. The Dragon going to be spawning in 12 seconds time. Lucid in a good spot to get a flank angle. As Crisp taking a bit of damage here. The more poke that they can land, the better it is here for DK. Oh, that's a bit obvious. But with the fact that Lucid is there wanting to hit someone with an ultimate as soon as that black shield is utilized. If someone goes down low enough to be under any sort of threat, when that danger is going to come in. Showmaker continuing to push here on this bottom side. They've started up the Dragon as well, as Light deals with the mid wave. This could just be a 50-50. Soul point for Weibo on the cards. Could even out the Dragons on DK's side, down to 50% health now, as Moham holding on to that Magnet Storm. Xiaohu looking for that angle, trying to get that R button down, but Kingen has spotted him. Knows exactly what's going on. Winter's Bite going to connect Dark Binding, not going to so far. And no one pulling the trigger just yet.
The timer on Breathe is going down, though. They need to start.
Yep, down to 1,000 health. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Lucid that locks this one down. The Magnet Storm from Moham connecting on a 3, but he's a little bit too far forward, and he throws his life away. Weibo just going to back away and say thanks for the freebie.
Kingen trying to get the reset in. Is Weibo going to move in towards mid? Don't want to look for the tower. It looks like they're looking at the Baron instead. And Vision is not set up for DK. Going in blind into Weibo could be a disaster here.
Yep, this one little ward, the pesky one that they can see here, will be able to show them that this Baron is indeed happening. But what can they do about it? That's going to be the question, as Xiaohu going to spot Lucid. He's going to get softened up quite a bit here, as now Showmaker diving in. Breathe Nabar in perfect position. And back over the wall goes Lucid. He cannot fight this Mega Gnar as Crisp going down pretty low, but where is the smite? Can they get into the pit? And the answer is going to be no. The Vault Breaker gets forward, but it's Tarzan that locks down the Baron, and now it is just disengage, disengage, disengage for Weibo. They're out of there. They got that purple buff, and they're looking great.
They just couldn't get the engage. Breathe causing so much threat to DK. They are forced to back away, and Weibo can burn down the Baron of the TP to try and keep the mid lane alive. Looks like it will be successful, and DK have to back away.
Yeah, great teleport there from Breathe to make sure that there is no cross map, nothing at all that DK can pick up. Showmaker now just trying to get some ward money around this map. It's not over, but it is looking more and more dire here for DK when we thought maybe they were trying to claw their way back.
Yeah, and I think this was unfortunate for Moham because they are basically trying to wait out Breed's Gnar bar to go down. You get the steal from Lucid, and I thought, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's their moment, but Moham thinks with Breathe about to go mini Gnar, he can go for the play, but Aiming isn't really in a position to follow up thanks to a great block by Crisp on that Unbreakable. And now, Weibo Gaming set up with the Baron, Breathe on bot side. A lot of the damage already done to these tier 2 structures.
Yep, and with these Void Mites coming out here as well. I mean, that is, yeah, there's no minions there, so they're not going to be able to grab that one just yet, but look at this. The army of minions moving towards this bottom lane. And that will spell the inner turret going on over the entire outer section removed. It is only the base left up here for DK. Can they actually manage to defend? That's the question. Double siege minions are just pummeling this inhibitor turret. Not a lot of range, so they can't really walk up just yet, but they've got another wave conga lining in. Okay, can they find the angle here as Light? Arcane Shift pretty powerful there, as you can see. Kingen looks for the barrel. There's the Magnet Storm. Crisp comes forward, shows them the door. Light creates all of the space he needs. The Black Shield's so valuable. They take down Crisp, though. They're able to just go through the front door instead, and Light is just left in the dust as 2 of his teammates are dead.
Weibo is there trying to collapse, though. Breathe has that flash. Mega Gnar so close to it. Xiaohu collapses.
Yeah, between worlds, there's the crash down. Moham knows that he's dead, is now aiming. Just throws the ultimate right at the Ezreal. Can he stand his ground and take down Xiaohu as well? It's the Mega Gnar says absolutely not. The sidestep's decent, but it is not enough as the solo lanes take down aiming.
And the bot lane tower fell as well. Weibo end up taking the fight toe-to-toe and still get the objective, but this was everything in the kitchen sink thrown by DK. Light gets locked up, but the flash over from Tarzan, the Black Shield, means that Light is able to flash away from the potential body slam from Kingen. Crisp denying a lot of the damage. He still will fall, but it gives time for Weibo to collapse and get into position, and this is where it gets a little bit dicey because you've got so many low health bars on the DK side, but Aiming steps up. Moham is the focus, but it ends up being an Arcane Shift in towards Light where he goes down, and Aiming with that ultimate nearly turns the fight single-handedly, but
yeah.
Weibo just barely able to come out with the 2 for 2 left standing.
Yeah, the double up there as well. And yeah, I completely agree. Both sets of coaches, honestly, yeah. I think, yeah, yes. they deserve yes. They deserve everything after this game. You know, it's go out for something delicious. You know, even if you lose this series, this has been so incredibly stressful on both sides. Otherwise, it's preparation for the quarterfinals. This feels like a fight. It's just so incredibly close between these teams, outside of the gold, which Weibo has in spades. These fights still seem to be something that DK are finding ways to wrangle.
And it's a question mark now around the objectives as well. 30 seconds until this Infernal Dragon is up and available, and DK can barely push past into their own jungle. It feels like Weibo going to start to take advantages now, not only in the gold, but with these dragons too. And it was a nice attempt by DK, but so much was invested. I don't know if they can try and get that repeatedly here to bring themselves back into this game.
Well, Crisp going to be eating a barrel, but they're just looking to take down this trail of wards heading towards this dragon pit. You can see 5 seconds. That Infernal Drake is up and available. DK thanking their lucky stars that the dragon was secured by Lucid the last time it came up.
But Lucid going on a bit of a mission here. Secret Agent trying to get in behind Weibo. The dragon will be taken. It is going to be given. But I think Lucid is essentially just going to sit here and hope that someone overextends on mid-wave and they can immediately go for the crash down with Moham. But Amin isn't there to try and follow up, and Lucid may be spotted.
Where is the... I'm a little bit worried, as Lucid now going to be scanning just to make sure that there's no vision up and available. Yeah, they don't know that he's here just yet.
Oh, Light. He could be the focus, but this is sick from Lucid. Like, it's even in advance of Baron. It may look a little funky, but this could be the call. This is what the Lee Sin kick did to Light last game. Can he get it again here?
Yeah, he's channeling now. There's the Black Shield, though. Light in a lot of trouble, but he just gets shielded up, and he's going to be A-OK. There goes Lucid. They threw the kitchen sink at him, but it did not work out. The Between Worlds is gorgeous. Moham's dead, and there's the ult out from Showmaker. They cannot do anything right now, and Weibo, they just had all the answers.
They tried everything there. That was the Hail Mary play from DK, and it is spotted. There is no miracle for the LCK third seed. It will be Weibo who push into the base.
Yep, they're just going to cut down the inhibitor here. Kingen, can he remove the minions? That is the question. It might take some time, but I think that Weibo, that was the death nail. It's just whether the Nexus is going to explode right here or whether it's going to be after a bit of a reset, because, man, we're moving towards 8,000 gold, the advantage. The Baron's coming up now, and there is no way that DK can get over there at all. It's miracle or bust.
Respect to DK for the attempt, though. Lucid trying desperately to get in onto the back line, but that Black Shield again, so pesky. And showing why this Morgana is such a good answer in the jungle, specifically to this Vi. Lucid just hasn't been able to get into any of these fights thanks to it.
Yeah, Moham is able to get in here, though. They are able to clear out some vision, as we can see. And they know they just have to start this. They just have to go for it. The Baron's going to be going down very, very quickly. Weibo teleporting their way in. Xiaohu will be able to turn up as Kingen can possibly get them out of here with that explosive cast, because the Baron is all they want. They should be able to take it, but can they win the fight? That's the question. Lucid does manage to land the smite, though. Magnus Storm is decent, but Xiaohu just goes golden. Breathe is gonna smack down this Rel. Xiaohu's still in it, able to bounce his way out. Kingen, can you have the mobility? The answer is no. Tagged by a Christmas tree, and it's Light that's gonna be able to take down the Gragas. And Weibo, they are back towards it. They are moving down this mid lane to finish what they started.
Weibo going through, Amin ults to clear out the wave, has the Baron up minions, and may have delayed the game for just another 30 seconds. That could set up Lucid to come on through. There is no minion line here. They're waiting on that bot lane to push on through.
The one caster minion, can they protect it? That's the question. And Showmaker says no, he's going to be able to take that one down, but Aiming not going to be so lucky. They just chase him towards the fountain. Showmaker as well going to go down. Breathe might just be dead. And remember, these are only Void Mites. There are no minions because that caster minion, the hero, did actually fall. And so now missing a bunch of health bars. It's only Moham that is going to be here, but now the super minions are going to crash, and Weibo, I think they've got enough damage. I think they're going to be able to do it here. This is their ticket to Paris. One last Nexus turret in front. Lucid, can he do it alone? The answer is absolutely not. He takes down Tarzan, but Weibo, they take down the Nexus and secure a spot in Paris.
Weibo will join the teams in playoffs. It was a hard-fought 3 games. It was a calculated, slow push in the end. But Weibo come out on top.
Oh, man. This is a stressful series, Dag.
That was an intense series.
But what incredible gameplay from especially Weibo that just say, oh, you guys just want to scrap? No.
Yeah.
And they just did it. And they just played better macro League of Legends. They also played extraordinary counter pick Like the tech choices here, the Morgana, so good here from Tarzan. A deserved spot over at Paris. But now we'll hear from Tarzan.